Let's go to 25 lines. Is 25 lines right? Oh God, no! No, I've ruined it all. It has an extensive help menu, I believe. Oh my God! Why did you do that to me, man? No, I'm fucked. So we're gonna start off our look at Microsoft Word with the things that I use it most for, which is actually to edit my auto executable file. So if we go into the C drive, what I can do is I have set a path directly to Microsoft Word. So what I can do is go Word config.sys, and it will load up my configuration.sys file right here. So it's like this hybrid kind of environment. This is very much like your DOS edit tool, which I'll bring up edit just so you can get the comparisons really quick. Edit config.sys, and this is this is the built-in DOS editor, which it's very, the look is very similar, but you have very limited features with edit. And I know I've used this plenty over my lifetime, and I just prefer Word. I don't know why anybody wouldn't use Word, because it offers you everything that that edit offers you, plus plenty more where that came from. So if I wanted to just it's very easy. I'll never remember this stuff. Back then, copy wasn't Control C, it was Control Insert. I will never remember that, and paste is insert, but you can just go to the menu, copy, and you can go down here, you can paste stuff. You can put multiple files. If I wanted, I have multiple configuration files, so in my boot menu here, these are all part of batch files to get different kind of config files. So maybe one time I want a config file for my Windows 3.1 setup, and I might want one for EMM memory, or I might want one for XMS memory. I have all of these other ones. Config.win. This is this is my configuration file when I want to run Windows for work groups. Here is the configuration files for the EMM memory, only the EMM, so it's a little different. You can look at them all. If I'm creating a new kind of a file, I'm going to want to copy and paste stuff from one to another. So here's my auto executables, IPX. So that's a certain type of networking. If I want to network from DOS, this is my setup in the auto executable file for that. And some things are going to be the same throughout, like the set sound commands and stuff. So you're going to want to copy that. Things like this, like your network paths. These are the paths that no matter where you are in DOS, you can just type in the program name, and you can get to it here. And I'll show you an example of that. So here in the MechWarrior 2 drive, we have a readme file, readme.txt. So we want to read that right now. We can just go Word readme.txt, and it will, because it's set up in the past for DOS, we can get right to it. Important troubleshooting information for MechWarrior 2, and this is my preferred way to read text files and stuff in DOS. So you can just sit here, and you can scroll down and read your readme files. It is that hybrid kind of environment, so you can you can have your multiple stuff. You can paste things from one to another. So if we wanted a new one, we can have that important information. We can copy that, edit, copy. We can paste it into another document. So it's this kind of hybrid, kind of a GUI kind of thing. That's all there for you. So and this is Word 5.5 that I'm showing you. I'll show you now. get to, yeah. Let's go to the C drive and I'll show you my documents here. Now, I've already written Sky Roads. I wrote completely using Word here. I guess I wrote it. It says Word 6.0. That might be true. But you can open up 6.0 documents. They're the same. 5.5 and 6.0 versions of Word are exactly the same. I think the only real difference is there's some kind of a window or something that can be you can have like some kind of table or something that's different in 6.0. The main reason I have now switched, I've completely switched to 6.0 from 5.5 is this. Like 5.5, the version I found of it was already installed, you know, it was a folder. So I put it on my drive and it didn't have any fonts or anything like that. I needed the complete install in order to have fonts, and I could only find a 6.0. So, you know, you might as well use 6.0 if you can find it, you know, because it's 5.5, except it's a little better. So let's go into 6.0 now. So this is Word 6.0. Again, it looks exactly the same. The About screen looks a little different. I think it adds a little pink flavor to it. Yeah, but let's open up a document. Here is my review for Microsoft Word 5.5 and 6.0. Again, we can, you know, 5 pages or something, I believe, of all of this. Again, it's a hybrid. So, you know, when you first look at it, you are looking at a DOS environment. And in fact, if we switch modes, graphic modes, we can do that here somewhere. Yes, we have lots of graphic modes to choose from, or lots of text modes too. Here is text, 25 lines, 80 columns, and 16 colors. If we change that, yeah, it's very much similar to Edit. Again, you know, but you have all these features, so you can and it is literally no different whatsoever. There's no difference between text mode and graphics mode, other than you can see the mouse cursor here is you know a piece of text. You know, it's not the mouse cursor. One of these lines is going to screw. One of these modes is going to screw everything up. I think it's 43, so I'll go to 50. And here in 50 lines mode, we see a lot more of the document, don't we? So this might be a very good mode to work in if you want to see a lot more at one time. Graphics 25 lines is the normal one I use, but we can go to graphics 60 lines. So this will let you see a lot more in the graphics mode, which is a lot easier on the eyes, I would say. So it looks a little better in graphics mode, I would say, compared to text, but not. It's basically the exact same thing, and it always, you know, none of this. It all looks the same. Now I actually do have different fonts and stuff. So here are the fonts I have available at the moment. I think you could have more, but you got to install them. Using the install disks, I was able to. You got to install different printers, and each printer has its own different set of fonts that the printer itself is able to copy. And I think that's why, you know, none of these fonts come with Word by default. You have to install the printer itself. I only installed one printer, and these are the fonts that were available for that printer. If I went and installed all the printers, I think I probably would have some more, but no matter what, you know, it's not going to look any different on the main screen itself. Let's go back to the normal. It's probably 30 lines. 30 lines is normal, I would imagine. I don't know. Now that I've looked at all this stuff, nothing looks right. Let's put up my review again. So, yeah. These are the things, like we have all these options. We have font options, we have size options, we have bold, italics. This is what made it a what you see is what you get word processor, according to Microsoft. Is because on the screen itself you were able to, you know, highlight something and you could bold it, you could italicize it, you could underline it on the screen. So this is what makes it a what you see is what you get. It's not the sizes. It doesn't matter what size it is. As you will see, the titles here have a 14 Helvetica, and it looks exactly the same as everything else except for, you know, this stuff's italicized and this stuff is underlined and bolded, but it looks the same as the main Times New Roman 12 font. In order to get the what you see is what you get view, you have to go to print preview, which will show you that, but it's not exactly, see, this is like, isn't there some kind of median here? I push right and it goes too far, you know, you gotta go like that. There it is. So this is the actual print preview. So this is using a different font. This is using the Helvetica font at a bigger size, and here's a different font here in italicized for this part of the review, and here it is bolded with underline, and here's the Times New Roman for the crux of the document. And let's all go to this. I love that. Let's all go to the sea. So when I was writing this, I went constantly to the print preview feature, so I could have a basic idea of what this was all going to look like, you know, in the end. And we can do that, so we have a better idea of what it would look like on the actual pages, although we can't read it there, you know, but you know, you can zoom in quite a bit if you want. I always do the custom. I don't custom zoom to about 120%. That is where I like it, but then I have to mess with this to have it actually in the middle there. So that is what I like there. But when you're actually writing the document, this is what you're looking at. So it's very much, it has that DOS feel, but at the same time it has some features that Windows, a GUI environment like a Windows, a word processor would offer you. There are file management tools available to you. It seems it defaults into the Word directory itself, which is not where I store my documents, so that's kind of sucks. And there is no way to manually get out of this, so there's no like a dot or a dot, you know, there's nothing I can click on which would go to the parent directory, which is unfortunate. So what you have to do is go to search, and then you will type in manually the directory you want. So in my case it would be C docs, and these are my Word documents that I have available. So here, you know, we can change the little things. Well, that's just sorting it. But we can get a summary of it, Word 5.5 for DOS review. What else do I have here? The Sky Road, so we get a summary of that. Sky Road's written review with pics. Created 5.15. We can delete it. We can copy it. We can open it. We can rename it. We can do you know, several things from here, so we don't have to exit the program itself. It's not as full-featured as the file management tool from WordPerfect on the Amiga. I think the Amiga version of WordPerfect had quite a bit that you could do from directly inside of WordPerfect, including much better ways to get to different folders and such. This is, you know, good luck. If you don't know exactly where you want to look at, then you're screwed, because you gotta input it manually. That's very unfortunate that that is the only way to do it there. But you know, but there is something there, so you don't have to get out of DOS, do it in DOS, or do it in the DOS shell, or do it in Windows, or do it in Norton Navigator. You know, you can do it from Word to a degree. Okay, Word 5.5 to 6. Now there is a big difference between 5.0 and 5.5/6.0. It's very much different. You know, this GUI environment, it's all DOS 5.0. This is why I'm not focusing on that. Maybe I'll do another review at some point for the earlier versions separately. It does have an extensive learning kind of word thing. I don't know why it didn't show up right. I don't want to mess with it though. Oh, here, yeah, right here we can do it right from the GUI itself, if we want to have. So you have lots and lots of things if you want some help with it all. Yeah, we could add bullets and stuff. I didn't do that. I didn't have any reason really to do that kind of stuff in my case, but there you go. I added a bullet. We can add some numbered lists if we want. Right? He didn't really do it though. Add some numbers, man. Numbering. I don't know. Well, as the bullets, I don't know how to get the numbering quite right. Again, I'm no expert at any of this shit, but I do what I need to do with it. Paragraph, if we wanted to center it to the right or something, justify it, we can do that from here, or get our indents correct. Some of this stuff doesn't come out looking quite right in the default view. If I view it in the layout mode, which is how I normally did it, but it ends up going off the screen a little bit. This is when you add the fonts. So when I was messing with the fonts and the sizes, it made it so I couldn't view it in that normal layout mode. I had to just X out of it, and then I could see everything on the page at once. So again, we have a select a little bit amount of fonts. So if we wanted to, we could select all of this. We can change the fonts. Letter Gothic, up it to 15. Again, it didn't change a damn thing, did it? But when you actually go to the print preview, this is what it now will look like. Awful. What else? We can do some commands from directly within inside of Word. You can set up your printer. I guess these are the printers I installed. Doesn't seem to have support for network printers, which, that's the only way I could actually print from the program itself, is if I could go to a shared printer. But you have some options here. If you happen to have it connected, a printer connected, you do have there were lots of printers that it supported. In terms of tools like spelling, so yeah, I did not correct any of this stuff. So environment, it thinks it's enjoyment. No, ignore that one. Italic, that is correct. Disparage, yes. Ignore, Mac right, come on. Back seat, I don't know, that's fine. Acclaimed, so I believe I've already looked at these things. I'm an awful speller, and I need my spell check. This was not as good as Excellence was. Excellence had like a 250,000 plus a spelling dictionary on the Amiga, which was excellent. It is better than WordPerfect, I believe. But it's not what even Word 6.0 for Windows is. So it claims version parity with 6.0 on Windows. It is not. It does not have version parity with 6.0. Ignore. Okay, you got that one right. So it's adequate. Definitely. It definitely will help. What is with the damn grays? That is a perfectly legal way to spell gray in America. They want to go with the damn European way. Yeah, it is it's a good overall spell check. It's nowhere near as good as Excellent. It's nowhere near as good as Word for Windows, but it's definitely better than WordPerfect, I would say. So yeah, I screw up a lot. It is catching a lot of them. It doesn't catch them all. Doesn't always know when I get them wrong what I should actually have, but it's very competent overall. So I can definitely say, at least for DOS at the moment, this is highly recommended compared to anything else I've used thus far. Let's close that for now. In terms of the Thesaurus, I believe the way the Thesaurus is you want to actually highlight the word, and then you go to Thesaurus, which has a Shift plus F7. That would be the shortcut to it. And then it will give you the definitions or whatever, or synonyms. So we do happy, content, glad, ecstatic, religious, adjectives, divine. Documents, we can try that one. What do you have for documents? Any printed matter, information, questionnaire, check, circular, enclosure, money, and copy. Okay, so I do believe the Thesaurus is, very good. They all seem to be. Every single word processor I've reviewed thus far, WordPerfect, Excellence, and Word for DOS here have had excellent thesauruses. I believe. I don't use them, so I don't. I say what I mean. So I don't go into the thesaurus and change my words around. But from what I can see, it seems to be very good. It does have options to insert things like pictures, but I don't know what it supports really. I tried to insert. I tried to insert a couple different formats into it. A bitmap. I think I even tried to do some kind of deluxe paint IFF thing. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what it supports. So I can't tell you about its picture support. In terms of compatibility, that is a deep issue with this one. And when we save it, we save as we have Word format, which is a .doc, which is, Word used that for years. But I wouldn't actually recommend saving it as a .doc in the Word format. I would actually recommend rich text format, because Microsoft has been terrible in terms of backward compatibility in newer versions of Word. So we could save it in Word, but in order to get that into a modern day environment, we would have to open it up with no less than Word 6.0 in Windows. 6.0 can be in Windows 3.1, it could be in Windows 95, 98, but in order to open up this version, this exact document, it's required. You have to use Word 6.0. Going up to Word 97, it's going to be a bunch of gibberish if you open it up, and Word 97 has no option to save in this format. So it claims version parity with 6.0. It is an utter lie. Word 97 you can save in 6.0 format, but it won't open it up. So it's very much confusing. I would recommend rich text format because here's Word Win 97 it says. So this is, I saved something in Windows 97 for 6.0, I think. I saved it in the 6.0 format, and this is what it gave me. So I mean, some of it is there, but it's not usable really, unless you want to go nitpicking and cutting everything. Rich text will, no matter what, it seems to save all the fonts and the sizes. I would recommend rich text. I will get out of here and show you a little bit more in a different environment so you have a clue. So if we load up Windows for workgroups, this is version 6.0, claimed parity. Let's open up, we can open up files. Come on, here we go. See, docs, and here's our word review .doc. So this is the actual DOS file. It will open up in Windows, but it's not perfect. You see here, it creates a table for the intro here for some reason. I mean, it works, definitely, but for some reason it just creates a table there, and then the rest of it is kind of normal there. It isn't exactly the same in terms of the layout either. If we had a print preview, I don't believe this stuff comes up looking the same. Again, I think the end was on a final page, like the sixth page or something. So it's the font sizes and such aren't quite the same within these versions. It does have the Times New Roman for the normal one, and it has Courier for that, and it has Helvetica 14. So it saved all of that kind of information for me, and I could open it up. Backwards compatible, like save as, it says Word for MS-DOS, so that's all you need to know about its claimed compatibility. It's not 6.0 compatible. It's different. So Word document itself, that is the document. So if we save that, and we will change it to, you know, W 97. Actually, I don't even know. Yeah, if we do it, that would open up in Word 97 now. I have a special program which should allow me to save it directly in 97, I think. Yes, Word 97 here. I could save it directly in the 97 format, which that is compatible with newer versions of Word. So if I save that, I could then open up the last version of Word, and it would read it okay, I believe. We will try that again. Word, I'll just put 98 just to differentiate them. Oh, it cannot save. Oh, it can only open. Thank you. So we will actually need Word 97 in order to save in Word 97. Okay, you assholes. So, yeah, if you want something from modern day, you would have to save a new Word file in Word 97 format. You would have to have the converter for Word 6.0. You would have to have 6.0 on Windows. You would open it from 6.0. You would then save it as a Word for DOS, Word for MS-DOS 6.0. You would save it in that format. And then you could then, at that point, open it up in DOS. But even then, I had some problems when I did that, and things didn't look, I mean, most of it was fine, but when I wrote in DOS, you know, if I continued to write, everything would look fine when you opened it up, but when I kept writing, it would just go off the page, and it wouldn't automatically go to the next line. So there were some issues there. But if you save it in the rich text format, you are fine. You are perfectly fine. It saves everything, it seems. I don't seem to see anything that it didn't do. So I would recommend rich text format for your compatibility needs. If you want it for other systems, if I wanted to write something in Word for DOS and I wanted it on my Amiga, I would have to do it in ASCII format, like a text only with breaks. Text only with line breaks, that would be an ASCII format. So that is that. I already have done it, I believe. We should have a rich text format in here somewhere. All files. Word review. Let's see. Where is the? Should be RTF or something like that, right? Where's the there? That's Sky Rich. There's not a RTF for Word. Maybe not yet. Maybe I didn't do that yet. There is one for the Sky. So Sky Roads in the rich text format. Here it is. It gets all the formats for you, but it's just I would recommend not bothering with the default formats for this stuff and just use rich text, which will be available for any modern word processor that is anything decent. Lots of symbols there. I mean, it's what you have. If you like use an edit just as your normal thing to mess around with your auto executables and configuration files, that is the normal thing I've always used it for. For years I've used it. I've used Word in replacement for edit. It is anything you like about edit, this one has, plus a lot more. I would highly recommend you use it for your configurations or just to read readme files or whatever. But if you want to actually write something substantial, again, it depends. Like if you're George R.R. Martin and you love your DOS, you love your simplicity of writing something in DOS where it doesn't tell you what to do, doesn't assume it knows more than you do. It will give you anything, WordStar. It's quite unassuming, just like those other DOS word processors. But it also has a little bit of that GUI kind of feel and those, extra things like, your print previews. It has a little tiny bit of that window. So it might be like this perfect blend of the two environments. For some people out there, it might be a perfect kind of blend. Personally, I am very much interested in checking out the final version of WordPerfect for DOS. I think it was 6.0 or something. That final version actually has a true what you see is what you get environment with the page view and all of that inside of DOS. I'm very much looking forward to tackling that in the future. And in terms of actually writing a document of substance, I do feel that that GUI kind of environment is the better overall. But I had a lot of fun writing this. And I think I've shown you everything at the moment that I care to show you. So let's just, maybe I've got some more reviews or something to show you. So we're going to cut to me actually writing the document and have a little bit of extras for you right now.
So let's get some information out of the way here. Microsoft Word 5.5 was originally released in 1990. 6.0 would be released in 1993, and that would be the final DOS version of Microsoft's Word. Again, there really wasn't much added in terms of between 5.5 and 6.0. I'm wondering if it wasn't all just to get this claimed version parity. For Windows, Microsoft Word was only on version 2.0 prior to this. They wanted to up the number system to get in line with WordPerfect, which was going to 6.0. So, out of nowhere, Microsoft decided to put all of their releases for Word for Mac and Word for Windows. They wanted to get it right in line with WordPerfect, and they released it as 6.0. But in reality, 6.0 here, as well as 5.5, while they are incredibly different in terms of the overall look to the previous DOS versions of 5.0 and below, they still have way more in common with those versions than they do with the Windows versions. So I did want to get some thoughts of the time period to include in my review here. This is from PC Magazine, May 26, 1992, Volume 11, Number 10, Service and Reliability. Our readers rate 35 top PC vendors. This is their main thing, but the thing about PC Magazine, my dad got PC Magazine. On occasion, I don't think he had a subscription to it, but occasionally you would buy one from the rack, and my God, of all the magazines I ever read as a kid, all the computer magazines, dear Lord, I hated PC Magazine. I loved all of the rest of them. I hated PC Magazine. 500 pages of blah. The most fun I get out of them, I'm actually going to show you something. The most fun I get today out of reading PC Magazine is actually the advertisement. Let me show you some advertisements. Some of them actually coincide with Microsoft Word here and word processors in general. So here's an advertisement for a PC clone computer. I just cut out the funny bit, though. There are lots of great reasons for buying a PS2. My boss made me. I just lost control over the flashy beige color scheme. I'm allergic to fruit. Like, do you, like, are you sure this is an advertisement for a PC clone, or is this an advertisement for Apple? I don't, like, really? This is the best you got. I'm allergic to fruit, because that makes so much sense. Like, this is the stupidity that goes behind buying a PC. This should be an advertisement for Apple. If I was Apple at the time, I would literally have copy and pasted this advertisement and mocked it. And by no means was that the only ad that was in that kind of a vein. Oh my god, wait until I do some more WordPerfect reviews for DOS. I got some doozies in terms of WordPerfect advertising that are completely work against them. But let's get to some actual reviews. Now, the context behind this PC Magazine feature here is that I believe a few months prior to this, they had done a special on Windows GUI-based word processors. So this was, I'm sure they got a little heat in exchange for that. They were I'm sure they praised quite a few of those programs, only for some DOS users to come bitching at them. So this is their response, saying, well, it's DOS ain't dead yet, so something old, something new. PC Magazine looks at 9 DOS word processors. When you care more about what you want to say than about how it looks on the printed page, say it with a text-based word processor. We evaluate 9 DOS word processors that get the job done, usually faster than their flashier Windows counterparts. Until a few years ago, text-based word processors were the only kind you could buy for a PC. If you wanted a graphically based program with screen fonts that looked like the fonts on the page, you had to buy a Macintosh. No, you didn't. Yeah, you could buy an Amiga, too, or even an Atari ST, you assholes. Today, graphical word processors that run under Microsoft Windows share a market with traditional text-based programs. But traditional programs still dominate sales and will probably continue to dominate business and professional desktops for years to come. No, they wouldn't. No. They had about one more year, actually. If that. Text-based programs, also called character-based programs, have speed and efficiency advantages that graphical programs can't match in the current state of microprocessor and video technology. Gigantic files that make graphical programs stumble generally leave text-based programs unfazed. Text-based programs work effectively on computers that either can't run graphical environments at all or can run them only at a snail's pace. If your office has a few hundred XTs and a few dozen 486s, the only word processors that can run all of them are text-based programs. And I guess that is a valid thought right there when it comes to businesses at the time. Businesses always kept, you keep your computers around. They're a huge investment. You kept them around for as long as you could. I can remember in the late 90s going to JCPenney and seeing some actual CPM, computers. They ran the registers, CPM still. It takes years for businesses to actually upgrade. So if they're slowly upgrading, you might have some 486s that could absolutely handle Windows and that could handle the GUI-based stuff. Or, if they had ever bothered to make some good GUI word processors in DOS itself, even those, a 486 I'm sure could handle them, but an XT would have a lot of issues. So if you wanted to be able to, move documents from one to another, I can kind of see where you're getting at. You want everybody to know the same program, etc. But that is what compatibility modes are for. But anyway, I get the criticisms there, and why a business that already is used to this stuff would continue to want the DOS stuff. So I see reasons for its existence, I guess, in terms of businesses, yes, but in terms of consumers, not so much. Well, continuing on here, DOS versus Windows word processing. Is the best more efficient than the beauty? If you're looking for technical razzle-dazzle in your word processor, you probably don't want a text-based program. But that doesn't mean Microsoft Windows word processors are necessarily more efficient or more effective than their DOS-based rivals. You don't need a stopwatch to tell you that with Windows word processors, it takes longer to enter text or jump from one screen to the next. Operations that aren't measured by benchmark tests, but which affect your day-to-day productivity. They're not measured by benchmark text? Really? Kind of. You sure you're actually promoting DOS-based word processors here? You can't measure them by benchmark tests at all, but, it's there. Really? They go a little bit into the standards of Windows and how, one key combination in one program is probably going to be the exact same key combination in another program, so you learn these things, like I was saying earlier, copying and pasting. It's Control-C. It's been Control-C for years within Windows. Paste is Control-V. That's how it's always been for every program inside of Windows. But before those standards were set in place, every single DOS program, had its own deal. So the thing is, everybody got used to WordPerfect because that was number one. So, WordPerfect had your keys. You got used to. They worked. It was terribly, horrifically hard to learn, and I guarantee, anybody that didn't use WordPerfect back in the day will have no chance of learning those function keys, and they are essential, pretty much, to taking advantage of that program. However, if you did learn it, it's going to be easier for you using DOS because you know that system. In contrast, older style menus often accept unshifted letter keys. The result can be significant savings of time and effort in menu-intensive operations like spell checking. WordPerfect, for example, lets you perform most of a spell check by doing little more than pressing top-line number keys. Even the DOS version of Microsoft Word, whose menus generally work like the ones in Word for Windows, lets you spell check with far less keyboard acrobatics than Word for Windows. So, yes, these are the advantages. We're talking about the advantages of all, DOS itself. So, I will allow it because we're talking about DOS-based word processor. So, yes, there's going to be no arguing with me that a DOS-based word processor is going to allow you to input text, faster. Especially, I realize that. I can type. You can see it right now. I type very fast, and I'm very keen on programs that stutter just a little bit. Although I can't say, at least for my I can't really compare for my PC because my PC ain't no 486 or whatever. My PC, it's like 400 megahertz on that sucker, so it's not going to have any hiccups whatsoever. But even on the Amiga back in the day, in terms of like excellence, in terms of actually typing, I can type my brains out. It doesn't hiccup. It does hiccup, if you hit the backspace key, I've noticed. But if you hold it down and then you let it go, suddenly it just deletes all this other text that you had no intention on deleting. So it hiccups there. But in terms of actually typing the way I type, which is pretty fast, I've never had any issues on the Amiga even, which is 7 megahertz. Okay, so I'm here to review Microsoft Word, but I'm trying to let everybody know what some people were thinking in terms of the advantages of DOS, and even still to this day, like George R.R. Martin. There's a big publicity thing. We went on Conan O'Brien and talking about how he still writes a Game of Thrones on a DOS computer running WordStar. I think there are advantages to the people, to these DOS people. But you also have to understand I'm an Amiga person, and while I do have my soft spot for DOS, I even write about it. I definitely write about how I have this this love-hate relationship with DOS because I grew up with the Amiga, but then I also grew up with DOS too. So I am very experienced with DOS, but I have this very strong connection with the Amiga, and I'm like, God, the Amiga, you were so far ahead of your time, and nobody cared. And you had these word processors and things that were every bit as fully featured as Word 95 was. When it just stormed everything and destroyed WordPerfect, but yet nobody cared. Nobody cared back then. So forgive my snarky attitude at times, but I hope you will understand that deep down, I love all of these computers, and I'm showing these off because to tell you all that I can love the Amiga and I can love excellence on the Amiga. I can even get a certain charm out of WordPerfect on the Amiga, although I will bash it to death because it didn't take advantage of the Amiga. But when it comes to DOS, well, we're in DOS now. DOS is a different thing. It's a different beast altogether. And in terms of DOS, this stuff is absolutely worth talking about. It's fun. I'm enjoying myself. Let's get to the actual review now. This is version 5.5 we're talking about here. Microsoft Word combines the speed and efficiency of text-based word processing with the convenience of the best Windows programs. Version 5.5 of Microsoft's $450 word processing flagship even looks like a text-based copy of Windows, complete with a CUA-compliant menu system and up to 9 editing windows that you can move and resize with the mouse. They talk about the file management and say, it's more primitive. It's primitive compared to WordPerfect, but it's effective enough for corporate use. And in version 5.0 and earlier, Word had a look and feel like no other word processor on the market, with first letter menus that you access via the escape key. The upgraded version 5.5 added few functions beyond a word count, but introduced the up-to-date menu system, dialog boxes, format ribbon, and more flexible windowing. Some longtime users were unhappy with the change, so Microsoft now provides a choice. When you buy 5.5, you also get 5.0, and you can use either or both. Wow, I did not know that. Except for its well-implemented styles and outlining, Word isn't as powerful or as feature-rich as WordPerfect, but it's more logically organized, and in speed tests, these two market leaders are neck and neck. If you want to create structured documents with standardized formats, nothing does the job with more ease and elegance than Word. List price $450. In short, Microsoft Word 5.5 is one of the few text-based word processors worth considering for office or professional use. It excels in its style handling and collapsible outlining, and its new Windows-like menu makes it convenient for newcomers, although users of earlier versions may find the change more trouble than it's worth. PC Magazine, May 26, 1992. We are definitely running out of time here, so let's just get to Compute Magazine from December of 1993. Microsoft Word 6.0 and WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS. They review them both. The latest releases of WordPerfect and Microsoft Word are proof that powerful DOS word processing isn't dead. Both programs incorporate features previously found only in Windows applications while retaining the speed of DOS text mode. Word 6.0 is a capable DOS program that offers you many, but not all, of the features of Word for Windows 2.0. Its table creating tool and true font types are Windows carryovers, as are drag and drop editing and automatic bulleting. The program is probably intended to prepare DOS users for the eventual switch to Windows. If you own a 286 or slow 386 but plan to upgrade in the future, you can buy Word 6.0 now and upgrade to Windows for free later. Like WordPerfect, Word allows you to switch between text and graphic modes on the fly. However, there's a big difference between what each program calls graphic. Word can give you bold, underline, and italic screen fonts, as well as a preview of special characters, but it's not comparable to WordPerfect's what you see is what you get. Depending on your word processing needs and hardware, the choice between the latest versions of Word and WordPerfect should be a clear one. If you need maximum speed with minimum hardware, take a good look at Word. If you need more from your word processor than just word processing and have the computing power to back it up, WordPerfect has a versatility to spare. I don't really agree with reviewing two programs at the same time, but there it is. So overall, the magazines seem to like Word in all its different incarnations, but they always seem to like WordPerfect a little more. In terms of my final views of it, again, I would probably say get 6.0 if you can manage to get a hold of it, because it seems I could find the installation disc, and then you could have the fonts and stuff with it. But otherwise, if you just, I really feel like if you use DOS, you should be using Word, at least Word 5.5, which is actually available, I think, to this day on Microsoft's website for free to download. They made it available to download, so there you go. But get 6.0 if you can. And again, use it to edit your batch files and your auto executables and your config sys files. Definitely the program I would recommend to do that with. Use it to read your readme files. Set up a path in DOS and read those files from within DOS right there. In terms of actually writing the whole document, maybe WordPerfect 6.0 would be the best choice. I'm really looking forward to looking at that, but I still had fun with it all nonetheless. So let's point you to the other two videos I have done on word processors. I have done Excellence on the Amiga, and I have done WordPerfect on the Amiga. Hope you all enjoyed all of that. Subscribe if you like this crap, and I will talk to you all later. Sayonara.